Ifeanyi jolted awake at his desk, his forehead resting against the cold surface. His computer screen flickered, the last email he had been drafting still open. What time was it? He glanced at the clock. 11:47 p.m. He had no memory of falling asleep. His body felt off, heavy, weak.
Hey there, and welcome to Freezy Stories. Get ready for another amazing story that will keep you hooked from start to finish. If you love great storytelling, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out. And if you enjoy this video, show us some love by liking, commenting, and sharing. It really helps our channel grow. Now, let's dive into today's story.
Ifeanyi jolted awake at his desk, his forehead resting against the cold surface. His computer screen flickered, the last email he had been drafting still open. What time was it? He glanced at the clock. 11:47 p.m. He had no memory of falling asleep. His body felt off, heavy, weak. His arms trembled slightly as he reached for his phone. The skin on the back of his hands looked dull, slightly wrinkled. He ran a hand over his face, pausing when his fingers brushed against his hair. He pulled at a strand. Silver. His breath caught in his throat. No, it had to be the light. But when he turned on his phone's front camera, the truth stared back at him. Not one, not two, but several strands of gray hair streaked through his head like cracks in a foundation. His skin, once smooth, seemed thinner, and the dark circles under his eyes were deeper than they had ever been. His heart pounded. This isn't normal. His mind flashed back to the contract. What exactly did I sign? Over the next few days, the symptoms worsened. At first, it was just fatigue, a sluggishness that made his limbs feel heavier, his steps slower. Then came the blackouts. He would be in the middle of something, typing, talking, eating, and suddenly his vision would blur. Time would skip forward. 1 minute he'd be at his desk, the next he'd be in his car, with no memory of leaving. Once he woke up standing in his mother's living room, staring at the wall while she shook him in fear. You were talking to yourself, but your voice didn't sound like yours. Ifeanyi's blood ran cold. It was getting worse. Desperation led him to the hospital. He told the doctor about the fatigue, about the blackouts, but he didn't dare mention the market. The doctor ran tests, taking blood samples and scanning his vitals. When the results came back, his expression darkened. Mr. Okoye, I need you to be honest with me. Have you been taking any experimental drugs, undergoing any kind of radical treatments? Ifeanyi frowned. No. Why? The doctor hesitated. Then he turned the screen towards Ifeanyi. The medical report showed his biological age. It was 43. Ifeanyi almost laughed. That's impossible. I'm 32. The doctor gave him a grave look. Your cells are aging at an unnatural rate. Based on these results, your body is breaking down at nearly 3 times the normal speed. If this continues, your organs may start deteriorating within the next few years. The words barely sunk in before the lights flickered. The room darkened for half a second, and in the reflection of the doctor's window, a shadow loomed behind Ifeanyi. Tall, distorted, wrong. Ifeanyi's breath caught. He spun around. Nothing was there. But the doctor was watching him closely now. Mr. Okoye, I don't know what's happening to you, but whatever it is, it's not natural. That night, as Ifeanyi sat alone in his apartment, staring at his reflection, a call came through. Kelechi. Ifeanyi's hand clenched around the phone. He answered. Meet me, now. Kelechi sighed on the other end. I was hoping you wouldn't ask. Too bad. You knew this would happen, didn't you? There was a long pause. Then, quietly, Kelechi said, "Meet me at the place we first met them." Ifeanyi's stomach dropped. The market. He grabbed his coat. If he didn't get answers soon, he might not live long enough to need them. Ifeanyi's hands trembled as he flipped through the contract. The parchment felt strange, almost alive. Smooth one moment, coarse the next, as though shifting beneath his fingertips. The letters weren't just written, they pulsed. And the more he read, the colder his blood ran. The clause was buried deep in the fine print, hidden between elaborate legal jargon. For every blessing bestowed, the buyer shall forfeit equivalent life force. The greater the benefit, the swifter the collection. His breath hitched. Every promotion, every stroke of luck, every act of fate that had turned his life around since the market, it was all draining him. The contract never specified 10 years up front. It only said, until the debt is paid. But how much had he already lost? He snatched his phone, fingers trembling as he dialed the hospital. The receptionist answered. "This is Dr. Suleiman's office. How may I help you?" "This is Ifeanyi Okoye. I need to see my test results again." A long silence. Then the receptionist whispered, "Sir, I'm sorry, but we have no record of you." Ifeanyi's pulse slammed against his throat. "What? Your file doesn't exist. There are no test results, no appointment history." A cold dread wrapped around him. He had just been there. The doctor had shown him the screen. Hadn't he? The receptionist hesitated. "Sir, are you feeling all right?" Ifeanyi hung up without answering. They erased me. A low laugh bubbled up his throat, strangled and desperate. What the hell have I done? Ifeanyi stormed into the bar where Kelechi had asked him to meet. The dimly lit space smelled of cheap whiskey and sweat, but Kelechi sat at the counter, relaxed, stirring a drink like nothing was wrong. Ifeanyi slammed the contract onto the table. "You knew!" Kelechi didn't even flinch. He took a slow sip of his drink before setting the glass down with a smirk. "Knew what, exactly?" "Don't play dumb with me. You knew the contract was a death sentence. My life is being drained, faster than I can count." Kelechi exhaled, rolling his eyes. "Oh, come on, you're overreacting." Ifeanyi's fingers curled into a fist. He wanted to punch that smirk expression right off his face. "I thought we were brothers," he said through clenched teeth. "Why would you do this to me?" Kelechi chuckled, shaking his head. "Do you hear yourself? You're acting like a victim." He leaned in, voice lowering. "Did I force you to sign it?" "No. I gave you an opportunity. You took it." Ifeanyi's blood boiled. "You tricked me." "Tricked you? Or did you just refuse to read the fine print?" He tilted his head. "You were desperate. I gave you everything you wanted. Your mother is alive. Your wife loves you. Your job is thriving. And you're mad at me for that?" Ifeanyi's breath came fast. His heartbeat pounded in his ears. "You sold me out." Kelechi's smirk didn't fade. If anything, it widened. Then he said something that made Ifeanyi's stomach drop. "You think you're the first?" Ifeanyi stiffened. "What?" Kelechi leaned back, stretching his arms. "Did you think I found the market by accident? That I was just being a good friend, helping you out?" Ifeanyi's throat tightened. Kelechi chuckled. "Let me tell you something about the market, Ify. It's been around for centuries. And you were just another name on their list." Ifeanyi's hands clenched into fists. "So what, you work for them?" "Not exactly," Kelechi said with a shrug.
Think of it like a membership program. I bring them new customers. They give me perks. Ifeanyi felt sick. You're selling people. Selling? No. Kelechi laughed. I'm introducing them to opportunity, just like I did for you. Ifeanyi swallowed hard. And what happens when they run out of time? Kelechi's smirk faded slightly. You don't want to know. Ifeanyi's stomach twisted. He already knew. And he had felt it in his bones, in his skin, in the very fabric of his being. And if he didn't act fast, he was next. Ifeanyi exhaled sharply, trying to keep his anger in check. I need out. Kelechi arched a brow. Out? Cancel my contract. Kelechi chuckled. It's not that simple. Bullshit, there has to be a way. Kelechi sighed, setting down his drink. There is a way, but you won't like it. Ifeanyi's skin crawled. Tell me. Kelechi leaned in, lowering his voice. You either pay the debt, or find someone else to take your place. Ifeanyi's stomach turned. Kelechi sat back, swirling his drink. So, what's it gonna be? Ifeanyi's breath came fast, his mind racing. There was no way in hell he was selling someone else into this nightmare, which meant he had only one option: outsmart the market.
Ifeanyi couldn't sleep. The revelation from Kelechi's lips rang through his head like a relentless drum. You either pay the debt or find someone else to take your place. He tossed and turned in bed, staring at the ceiling, every breath feeling heavier than the last. The contract had marked him. He could feel it. His body was decaying, his time slipping away. And Kelechi, his so-called best friend, the one person he had trusted most in this world, had sold him out. Rage bubbled in his chest, but so did something worse: fear. If Kelechi had been forced to trade someone to save himself, then how many others had suffered before Ifeanyi? And how many more were still trapped? He needed answers. Ifeanyi spent the next morning combing through every scrap of information he could find about the market, but there was nothing. No records, no whispers, no stories. It was as if the place didn't exist, and yet it was eating him alive. Desperate, he checked through his phone, scrolling back to the first time Kelechi had ever mentioned the opportunity. A dinner meeting, a nameless warehouse, a message. This could change your life. Ifeanyi clenched his jaw. Change my life? It had ruined him. That night, he drove across town, following the breadcrumbs of his own past. Every location Kelechi had taken him to, every hidden alley and unmarked door, until he found something. An old storage unit Kelechi had rented. Ifeanyi broke the lock with a crowbar and stepped inside. His stomach turned. The place was filled with files, hundreds of them. Names, contracts, old photographs. And then he saw his own file. With shaking hands, he flicked it open, and there in bold ink at the bottom of the page was a signature. Not his, Kelechi's. Ifeanyi stormed into Kelechi's apartment, slamming the door open with enough force to shake the walls. Kelechi barely flinched. He was seated on the couch, swirling a glass of whiskey, as if he had been waiting. So, I assume you found the files, Kelechi said lazily. Ifeanyi's hands shook as he threw the papers onto the coffee table. Tell me this is a joke! Kelechi sighed. I told you, Ify, you weren't the first. Ifeanyi's vision blurred with fury. You signed my contract. You traded me. Kelechi nodded, expression unreadable. I did. Ifeanyi lunged, grabbing him by the collar. Why? Kelechi didn't fight back. Didn't even look scared. Because it was either you or me, he said simply. Ifeanyi's grip tightened. You lying! I had no choice. Kelechi's voice was eerily calm. I was out of time, Ify. They were coming for me. I had to trade someone or I would have been the one rotting away. Ifeanyi felt his breath leave him. This wasn't just greed. This wasn't just betrayal. It was self-preservation. You bastard. Kelechi exhaled through his nose. You would have done the same. Ifeanyi's grip faltered. Would he? Would he have sold someone else to save himself? No, never. He shoved Kelechi back and turned to leave. You can't run from this, Ifeanyi, Kelechi called after him. Ifeanyi paused. They don't just let people walk away. A chill ran down his spine. Kelechi took a slow sip of whiskey, watching him. You're already marked. You have two choices. Find someone to take your place, or die. Ifeanyi's jaw clenched. There's always a third option. Kelechi chuckled. And what's that? Ifeanyi's gaze darkened. Burn the market to the ground. Ifeanyi's body was betraying him. His reflection in the bathroom mirror was almost unrecognizable. Dark circles beneath his eyes, wrinkles that hadn't been there before, veins standing out against his skin like dying roots. His breath came in shallow gasps. His muscles ached as if he had aged decades overnight. How much time did he even have left? Days? Weeks? No, he couldn't think like that. There had to be a way out. Kelechi had said no one could escape the market, but Ifeanyi refused to believe it. If there was one person who knew how to cheat death, it would be someone who had been part of the market and lived to tell the tale. And so he searched. It wasn't easy. The market erased its traces. Every name connected to it disappeared from official records, every whisper of its existence buried under layers of fear. But Ifeanyi was desperate. His investigation led him to the darkest corners of the city, abandoned shrines, forgotten archives, whispered rumors in the back rooms of old men's bars. Then, finally, a lead. A name. Baba Ojo. An ex-merchant. A man who had once bartered in the market of no return, and survived. Ifeanyi found him in an old, crumbling compound on the outskirts of town. The place reeked of incense and decay. The wooden gate was rotting, and the house beyond it looked barely habitable. He knocked. No answer. He knocked again, harder this time. The door creaked open, revealing a frail old man, his eyes clouded with age, but sharp with something else. Knowledge. You should not be here, Baba Oyo rasped. Ifeanyi's heart pounded. I don't have a choice. The old man studied him, then sighed. Come in. The inside of the house was worse than the outside. Walls covered in strange symbols, flickering candles, bottles of unknown substances lining the shelves. Ifeanyi got straight to the point. I made a deal. I need to break it. Baba Oyo shook his head. No one escapes the market. Ifeanyi clenched his fists. There has to be a way out. You got out. The old man chuckled dryly. Did I? Ifeanyi frowned, but Baba Oyo didn't explain. Instead, he picked up a gourd filled with dark liquid and poured some into a wooden cup. Drink. Ifeanyi hesitated. It will show you the truth, Baba Oyo said. With no other choice, Ifeanyi drank. The moment the liquid touched his tongue, his vision shattered. Darkness. Then a blinding light, and suddenly he was inside the market again. But this time he saw what had been hidden before. Beneath the stalls, behind the merchants, in the shadows, were souls, trapped, suffering, their lifespans draining into the hands of unseen masters. The market wasn't just a place of business. It was a feeding ground. A monstrous entity lurked beneath it,
feasting on the stolen years of every unfortunate soul who struck a deal. And the only way to break free? To sever its connection to the mortal world. Ifeanyi gasped, his mind snapping back to reality. His heart pounded as he stared at Baba Oyo. What was that? The truth, he said simply. The market is a parasite. It cannot be bargained with. Ifeanyi swallowed hard. Then how do I escape? Baba Oyo hesitated. Then, slowly, he spoke. There is one way. Ifeanyi leaned forward. Tell me. The old man's voice dropped to a whisper. A forbidden ritual. Ifeanyi's breath caught. Baba Oyo continued. It requires blood. Your blood. Your soul must be severed from the contract before it consumes you entirely. Ifeanyi shuddered. What's the risk? Baba Oyo's eyes darkened. If you fail, the market won't just take years from you. A pause. It will take everything.
Hey, Freezy Stories family. We're so glad you stopped by to watch. Your support means the world to us. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to our channel. It helps us grow and keeps us motivated to bring you even more incredible stories. Thank you for being part of our journey. See you in the next one.